Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. We're in for a treat today. I got a reel here that I've never worked on, and it's a unique reel in all regards. It's a Abu Ambassadeur EON Pro. And the neat thing about this is all of the gearing is in the side plate here. And how do I know that? Well, when I don't work on a reel, I go out to the internet and I try and find the schematic diagrams for the reel. And that'll tell me what I'm going to work on. So in this case, it's the Ambassadeur EON, and this one looks like a lot of fun. It appears to have three gears that are driven externally, and that should make for smooth operation of the reel. Unfortunately, this reel, which is a left-handed reel, is stuck, and it seems to be stuck in all regards. So we're going to not only try and figure out how to service this reel, we're going to try and figure out why it's stuck and or broken. So I'm going to start by removing the exterior pieces, and I'm going to leave my glove off for this exercise. And the reason I'm going to do that is it looks like there's a lot of small pieces that are going to need gripping, and I just don't have that strength. So I've just removed the button. And as I take the exterior pieces off, in this case, everything's going to be exterior to the reel, at least so it seems. As I take those pieces off, I am going to thank our first responders and essential personnel, all the uniformed services, police, fire, rescue, EMT, and the like, all of the folks that are in the medical fields, whether it's hospitals, doctors' offices, long-term and acute care, and the like. Thank you for all you do to keep us safe during the pandemic. And of course, everybody else that's involved. It takes a village here, and everybody else that's involved in keeping us safe during the pandemic. Thank you. Next up is the cap nut comes off for the handle. And this is a good time to tell you, take pictures. If you don't know the reel, it's essential that you take pictures. It's very easy to just keep taking things off, committing it to memory, and then finding out that, well, your memory's just not as good as you would like to think it is. Okay, the handle comes off, and so then the next thing that I do is I look for what's up on the diagram, and it looks like after the handle should have been a washer. The washer's on the back of the handle, and now there's a clip ring holding in this adjuster. So that clip ring looks to be something similar to a ring that holds a drag stack in. It's located here in a groove. I think maybe I can just get away with lifting that up somehow. Okay, well, it looks like I've raised the ridge in the back here, so I'm going to try to do that. This is a spring clip, so please be careful. There we go, we've got that off now. That should enable me to take the rest of this off. Question is, which way is it coming out, more or less? Now, let's go with less. This should be a screw clip. Okay, here we go. Screw clip out. So we have the screw clip assembly out. You can see that we have a ring here that's serrated. That's going to be the click mechanism that's going to tell you that the reel is clicking. And here's your click mechanism. It's a little tag end that's sticking up through the thing, kind of a retainer clip. And it looks like we can just remove that by simply getting both sides of these legs out. And again, I'm dependent on the schematic here, but hopefully everything else will go kind of smoothly. It's been going smoothly so far. I believe with that schematic out, this should just pull off. At least it appears that that's the case here. Just simply kind of pull off. There we go, that's off. And I'm going to take the spool out. Right now you can see I'm starting to wrestle with some line. I'm going to take the spool out. On this side it has a little stud here. And it looks like if we just turn the case, turn the case, that will all come out. I also wanted to do that just to check. I'm not certain on these whether there's ever a screw that's hiding behind the scenes here, so that's a good way to do it on these bait casting reels. Well, this is still... Well, this all of a sudden is working, so I wonder what happened. I'm wondering now, just based on what I'm seeing with all of that line, and in particular the way that it's all twisted up there, that if that didn't get in there and choke this reel down. Probably did, because this seems to be operating nicely now. I want to test this before I get underneath it, make sure that the free spool release works and trips back. It does. This tells me now to take those 3 screws out. Let's go ahead and do that. And then I'm looking at this. It's got a very interesting drive plate assembly. And again, everything is external to this reel now. This is your drive. And from what I see, there's three gears underneath here that would grip the pinion gear from each side. And that would certainly account for smooth operation. So let's see what we get when we take this off now. It's kind of a learning experience. I would call it a tuition reel, except that I don't own this reel. It was stuck when it came in. It'll be unstuck by the time it goes out because it's unstuck right now. So let's go ahead. I'm putting all my pieces and parts into a parts tray, just like that. And if you have questions on this reel or any reel, or maybe you even know some unique functions on some reels, and you'd like to share them with me, leave them in your comment section. I'm always looking for interesting things to post. I'm always interested in learning more. So if you can do that, that would be the best place to do that is to leave that in the comment section. All right, I've removed the 3. This whole drive assembly, according to that piece now, should lift off. It does. Underneath here we have 2 springs. We have a yoke. We have the pinion gear. We have an idler gear, which goes between the pinion gear and the drive gear for the line guide assembly. And the main gear is, the 3 gears are going to drive off the top here. That'll turn this, which will, I'm turning it the wrong way, but that'll turn this assembly. I want to pull that pinion gear out now. I'm going to take the 2 springs, I'm going to put them into my parts tray. Now I should be able to lift all. Pay attention when you start pulling pinion gears and things, orientations. The main threads of the pinion gear are facing outwards. The cup for the spool would be facing inward. And notice that the hump in the yoke assembly is to the top. That'll enable me to get this out. Just want to inspect it. It came off, so that's always a good reason to tell you. Make sure you know the orientation, because if the pieces fall off and you're not paying attention, well, it's real easy to put these things on backwards. I'm going to clean the old grease out of that pinion gear. Looks like the idler gear is on some kind of a mounting bracket here. Let's see if I can get that out. I can. Just inspecting it. I want to make sure all the teeth are okay. They are. And put that back on. Take my pinion gear, grease that up. I'm going to use a fishing wheel grease for that. Almost lost my yoke, right? That's why you want to use the parts tray, even if you're just going to be doing something momentarily. I picked that one thing up, I took a look, and the next thing you know, I covered up the yoke. This is generally where I like the glove on, because it keeps the greases and that out of harm's way. But in this case, as I mentioned, I'm just going to be putting this right back in. Let's put a little bit of grease onto that. I'm using Penn Precision Reel Grease here. I just don't have a preference for reel greases other than you use a fishing reel grease. All right, those 2 go back on the stud here. Okay. All right, let's get to the business end of this. There's 2 springs that are still missing here. We'll remember that when we go to put that in. All right, from what I'm seeing here and what I saw in the diagrams, this has a little catch point here. It looks like I have to swing this in a channel to get that over to the point where it can come out. Oh, that was easy. Hopefully it's that easy going back in. So I've just aligned the tabs with the points. I should be able now to push everything through. Like that. And this is your assembly now. So we have an anti-reverse clutch inside here. We got some dirt and grease that we'll clean out of the bell housing here. I cleaned up nicely. I don't oil and I don't recommend doing anything with the anti-reverse except cleaning it. We have a assembly now that has the ferrule for inside the anti-reverse, and then we have the ball bearing. Then we have a collar drive. It's according to the schematic, it's a collar that's going to house the 3 gears underneath, and those are the 3 gears. So this is what you need to do. You need to do the house cleaning. I'm going to pause this video right now and I'll be right back. Okay, here's where you need to take the mental notes if you're working on one of these reels, because I'm sure that things can go amiss in a hurry. So we've kind of rebuilt this side. We've greased up the pinion gear. We've realigned all the other gears. We've just removed the collar, the bearing, and the ferrule from that side. And now this is the business end of the reel. It's got the 3 gears that are going to drive the main pinion. It's got a drag stack of washers here. And this is where you need to take the notes. Now this is where the schematic, and again I'll refer to that schematic, is very helpful. It's telling me what I should see. So we took the collar off, which has the race. Here's our 3 bearings. Now we have a lobed, kind of a pressure washer, if you will, metal, drag washer, a plate, a whole series of washers, followed by a drive that's holding the piece in. So I'm going to remove the 3 gears next. Well, I guess I can take... That's 1. It's upside down. Make sure that you keep them in the right orientation. That's 2. That's 3. Lobed pressure plate, drag washer. And we have a full pressure plate here. 1 drag washer underneath. And we have 1 of those tagged washers. 2nd drag washer. We have 1 now that I would call an eared washer, except that it's inverted. It's going to go in the slot on this gear. Another drag washer, and then the final one, which is going to be the collar washer, which is going to fit into that whole assembly. The whole idea here is just make sure they're clean. If they were bent or anything, well, then you'd have to go get replacements. But most of the service time, it's all about getting rid of the old oils and lubrications and dirt, cleaning up the gears and the like, checking to make sure there's no damage, and then just doing the reinstall. So here we go. Just cleaning up the gears, checking the teeth. Last one. All right. So we're in pretty good stead with that now. There's a little bit of grease inside here. I'm going to use a cotton swab to get the old grease that's accumulated in the channels there. Get that out of the way. All right, let's give it a cleaning on this side, and then we'll be able to reinstall. So if you have a reel that you need service, but you're not up for doing it yourself, if you want to contact me by sending me an email on the business card address that follows, I'll be happy to work with you towards getting that all set up for you. All right, so next up on the install then is reinstalling, and they come out and they go back in a reverse order that they came off. So the first one is a drag washer. These appear to be Carbon-Tex washers. They don't need any kind of lubrication on them. They are oiled in this case. I'm going to leave the oil on there. And then we had that big tag piece go on. And I noticed that I couldn't get the gears off. I couldn't get those off without getting the gears off. So gears are next. I'm going to use a brush with some grease on it. Make sure we get some grease there, as well as on the shafts of these. And if I put the grease like that, when I put the gears on it, we'll push it down and grease the inside. Very nice well-made reel, very interesting concept. You can see how smooth this reel is going to operate, because instead of 1 main gear driving 1 oscillation or pinion gear, you're going to have the 3 gears drive it, and those 3 gears are going to mesh right with the main pinion gear right there. All right, that's this side of it. And actually, I think what we can do now that we've cleaned this up, we can put the grease on the outside track here. And then we can just put this right back on, use this cup to hold the rest of the assembly while we put the back end of that in. Okay, that's pretty cool. Just going to get the old grease off of this. Before I go to put the last piece on, I will make sure that we get that right. Okay, drag washer, first of the keyed or exterior bound washers. And it looks like from the way that this is set up that you want to align the tabs on those keyed washers with those big tabs. That's because the inside, I noticed as I was taking this off, has those 3 slots, and in order to get the whole assembly in, you're going to need to have them line up. The middle washer was the one that I would call the eared washer, and there's 3 studs here, so we want to, or indentations there, so we want to get those on. The last drag washer, we want to line this one up again. That's your assembly. Pretty neat. All right, if we do all of this correctly now, we're going to put these in. I said I would grease it. Let's grease that. Put this in. We're going to be able to get the tabs into each one of these slots. You know what? I want to put this burring and cap rotor on too while I'm at it. So apologize if I'm a little left or right brained at the moment. I'm not sure which one is which, but I think it's easier if I do it that way, because that has to lock into that bearing. Now let's go ahead, line the tabs up with the slots in the case. Just push everything through. I lost that last one, but that's okay. And then this is the one where we took it out, so we've got to get it back in by twisting to form a lock. I imagine that the factory has some kind of tool for this, because I'm noticing there's an indentation here and an indentation here. So they probably have a tool that's like a cup that's going to push down and enable you to put that on square. In this case, I don't have that. We're just going to hope that using a micro screwdriver and a little pressure on the back end, we'll be able to turn all of this the way it should go. And it does. Sometimes things just work, right? So we no longer have the tab here, it's under there. I'm going to give it a quick test. This is a lefty reel, so let's turn, oh, that's nice and smooth. Wow. All right, let's put it all back together then. Let's see if we can continue to have the success. I did mention that I didn't have those 2 yoke springs. For those of you that were playing along here, you know that they belong here, and you're probably waiting to send me a note to tell me that I forgot those springs. It wouldn't be the first time. And now we can put this on. We want to line those catches with the 3 screw holes, and I don't think, from anything I've seen, that one belongs anywhere other than with the next one. It's probably going to be interesting to merge that those 3 gears with that pinion gear, so that might take a moment here. I think at this point, first of all, I'm going to remove some of this line, and I'll apologize to the reels owner right away, but I think that's probably what was causing the issue here and why it wasn't working anyway. It's all bundled up to one side. I don't know if the pole is not working on this either, or if something just got jammed and they continued to crank. But at any rate, the owner of this reel will need to replace the line. I'm not taking it all off, but probably should. There's a burring on this side. Let's go ahead and put oil there. I can't see if there's a burring underneath here. I'm going to assume there is, so we'll just go ahead and put the oil there. I'm going to reinstall the side plate now. Okay, with the case installed then, we want to go back, put those springs out. I want to load the case because I don't want them to shoot anywhere. We'll go put the springs back on for the yoke. Now we should be able to merge that assembly. Imagine it takes a little bit. There you go. That wasn't terrible. Now let's go grab those 3 screws that hold this assembly in place. I was thinking there might be a little bit more effort required there with the 3 gears merging, but I guess it's so well engineered that it just kind of falls right in place. So the only thing that I would say that is different about this reel from a working standpoint is you may need a factory tool for that that last set on that drag stack, but we were able to do that with the micro driver and just a little bit of patience. But I would say that the factory probably has a tool for that, that those that are just doing this for fun probably don't have. Alright, this should be the 3, and then I'm going to just do a real quick check here before I go much further. I just want to make sure it turns and I'm not binding anything. We won't have the drags in or anything at that point, but the reel is turning. That's encouraging. And I would guess that the rest of this is going to be because I need drag washers. Alright, looking on the outbound side then, the bezel comes next. That should just press on there. That was a nice snap. Then we had that click ring come. Just need to find the insertion point for that. It's over here. Like that. And then we just hook that under the 2 tabs on the other side. That's our click ring. That's what's going to make the noise on the inside of this carrier. I think this is a reverse thread. That's the click it makes. Next up then was the clip. That's the C-clip that we had so much fun taking out. Funny how it goes in so much easier. I don't know why that is, but it is. You just want to make sure you're in the groove all the way. I'm not quite in the groove on the one side there. There we go. I wasn't down all the way on this adjuster. All right. 3 more pieces to go. Washer. Okay, next up is the handle then. And we've got the handle nut. I'll make sure these are going on square. That's why I always like to work these hand tightening them first. I just felt that that was not going on square. Square it up. Let's bring this on. Tighten it up, and then you want to make sure that your cap can align with the hole for the tie down screw. We're off a little bit. We need to tighten a little bit more. So very interesting reel. I remember working on one more that had this tri-gear design, but it certainly wasn't an Abu. I don't remember exactly which one it was. But they're fascinating, fascinating looks into how reels can be designed and the efficiencies of reels. All right, that comes on. Our screw to, this is the spool adjuster in addition to being a tie-down screw. You can hear it there. And let's give it a spin. Wow. For a reel that wasn't turning before, that certainly makes a difference. Looks like we have a little bit of an issue here with the pawl, so let's go ahead and take that out while we're at it. This one has a different pawl carrier too, from what I seem to have read in that schematic, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to find here. Yeah, we have a pawl carrier, and we have a little pawl underneath it there, which I'm trying to get out. Apparently this pawl sits inside the carrier. And it appears that there's a lot of dirt on there, so that's probably why this one is not moving properly. Let's get the old grease off of there. The forks on it seem okay. And if you don't get a good view of it, I apologize. But you can just see all the dried grease on here that's coming off with the, I'm using the micro driver as a scraper. Alright, that should make it better. This is unique. It's a little pawl within a pawl, if you will. There's a carrier there for that. You can make sure it gets good oil there. And we should be able to reinsert this back in. So we have a couple of different uniquenesses to this reel. This is a unique one as well. Normally you would have just one solid cylinder for the pawl. Alright, I just want to put a bit more in there. Then we'll push down on this to load that in. Okay, nothing left to do than to give it a test. Working nicely. Make sure that our free spool works. Make sure that it clicks back. There you go. That's it. That's our EOS, or EON. Ambassadeur EON 3601. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.